and welcome back to 20 Questions with, and today we've got a very special guest who's also a fellow automotive YouTuber, although he has a massive heart for BMWs. So please welcome Joe Achilles. Hi Joe, you all right?
Yeah, good, thanks. Hey guys, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
No, thank you for being here. It's an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely, yeah, no, it's good. I haven't been on a podcast for a while, so excuse me if I'm a little bit rusty.
No problem, but are you ready for the scary quickfire round?
I'll say yes, but I'm probably not.
Okay, let's get started. So first off, favourite car?
Porsche GT3 in manual.
Your favourite track?
Oh, this is quick fire. Come on, Joe. Come on. There's so many that I love. I'm going to go with Goodwood.
And cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Your go-to 3-course meal?
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh my God. Okay, so something healthy and like salad-ish for a starter. I don't know, like sliced tomatoes and mozzarella. This is going to sound really weird because I wouldn't have them together, but my main would be something like crispy duck pancakes. And then dessert would be something chocolate brownie with vanilla ice cream.
Perfect. And your most inspirational driver?
Oh, I think it would have to be Sebastian Loeb.
Okay. And apart from motorsport, what other sport is your go-to?
Mountain biking.
And are you a morning or evening person?
The older I get, neither. I would say I'm an evening person.
And your go-to hobby?
My go-to hobby is, I guess it's I'd say mountain biking, but that's more than a hobby. So let's say I think editing, doing what we do, that's still a hobby in my head. To me, it's learning. So yeah, filming and editing.
Brilliant. And the scariest thing you've ever done?
Scariest thing I've ever done. One of the scariest things I've ever done is actually very recently. It was about 2 weeks ago. I went around the Nürburgring in a very fast car, ring taxi, with David Pittard as the driver, who is the current ring lap record holder at the Nürburgring. Wow. I think I'm all right at driving, but he just resets everything. And yeah, that's probably the most recent scary thing. I squealed like a pig for about 10 minutes. So yeah, it was exhilarating but scary.
Like I say, you think you like when you're driving, you think, right, I'm right at the limit of this, like this can't possibly go any quicker. And then when the professionals get in and do it, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it makes you want to go out and resit your test. And it's just like, yeah, it's amazing. Really, really impressive.
And last but not least, if you had to describe yourself in just one word, what would it be?
Friendly, I guess. Yeah.
That's the first 10.
That's it, done. Excellent. First 10.
First 10 anyway, halfway. Don't worry, these ones coming out a little bit less pressure, so there's not got to be some quick answer.
Yeah, no problem.
Right, so number 11, where did it actually all start for you? So with the YouTube, the automotive side, where did it all begin?
Well, actually, I mean, the automotive side started when I was really young. I was probably about 6 or 7. My auntie and uncle live in the south of France, and my uncle used to get a company car back then. This is a long time ago, late 80s, and they had a 325i Sport. It was an E30 at the time. It was brand new at the time as well, and I fell in love with that car. And when I was old enough to basically sit on my auntie's lap, she let me drive like steering, and then when I got to about 8 or 9 and I was tall enough to reach the pedals, she let me drive it up and down her driveway and on this private sort of driveway of theirs. And ever since then, it was like, that was it. Like my BMW love and passion sort of started there. And then I continued to love cars throughout my life, but ended up in the fashion industry for many years, for most of my sort of younger adult years, but always wanted to escape. So eventually I started my channel about 7 years ago as a hobby on the side, just to sort of answer questions I was getting asked on forums and whatever else. And yeah, one thing led to another, and the channel grew over the years, and yeah, now it's going really well. So it's one of those things about chasing your passion, I guess, and working hard. As you know, it's not, people see the 10-minute video, they don't see the blood, sweat and tears that go on
5 hours
behind that.
behind it.
Yeah, exactly. Like today, basically got rained off filming because it was dark and miserable outside. You can't film anything, and so a lot of effort goes in. But you know, when you get to the other side, like I am now, or getting to the other side, it's very rewarding to do something that you love. Yeah,
That's
that's
amazing.
basically it.
And over the course of your career with it, what barriers have you experienced and how have you overcome them?
Oh, good question. I think the barriers, it's weird. When I first started, it was great, and there was loads of positivity, and the smaller audience were very friendly because they were just there to sort of be to support you, essentially. As soon as you started getting beyond a certain size, maybe 10,000 subs or whatever it was, you started to get a lot more haters, internet keyboard warriors, if you like. And you know, that even though I was probably in my early 30s, mid 30s then, so a fully grown, you know, adult, and I've got quite thick skin, but still some of the comments and some of the stuff that you get, it really hurts.
Yeah.
And I think I went through a stage of actually thinking about stopping, because of, it was literally a handful of people, but that was one side of the barrier. The other side was investing so much time and money into it and not really getting much back, in terms of, you know, making no money back whatsoever, and spending way too much on project videos that that I wanted to fulfill. So here's a nice press car, like here's an Audi R8, and then go and spend $1,000 filming it over the weekend, take it to Germany, whatever, and coming back and the video not doing well. And you know, you spent 2 days filming it, 2 days editing it, you spent $1,000 in your own cash, and you get back £20 of ad revenue. They're hard to swallow sometimes as well. But I think, like with everything, you know, you get knocked back a few times, and you learn these things over the sort of, you know, the period of 7-8 years. Eventually you start getting on top of everything. But yeah, there's always challenges, but if there wasn't, everyone would be doing it. So you know, it's just one of those things.
And the more you do it, the more you learn. It's almost trial and error.
Exactly, yeah, it really is. And you know, even I'm good friends with Tim Schmee, and he films a video every day, and every day he's learning. He learns something new, and every time I see him, I'm around him filming, I'll see that he's changed something compared to 6 months ago. And you know, when someone like, he's filmed 11 years of every single day, and he's still changing things, and it's so true. Like, you learn by your mistakes, or you just learn by trial and error, I guess. But yeah, it's an evolving monster.
Definitely. It's non-stop as well. It's constantly changing and constantly updating. You'll try something new and it'll work one day, you'll try something different and it will be absolutely horrendous. And it's just like you say, it's learning as you go along. I don't think you can come with this massive book that tells you how to do it all. It is just hearing from other YouTubers that have done it and a bit further along than you, and also learning from your own mistakes, because that's how you get your own style.
Exactly. And that's I think that's the most important thing to anyone that is watching and listening, that's thinking about doing YouTube. It's all about, well, as far as I'm concerned anyway, it's all about you, and your style, and people liking you and like watching you. And whether you're talking about, you know, something very ordinary and boring, or whether you've got the latest and greatest car on your channel, they should be watching you for who you are.
Yeah.
You know, and tuning into you almost. It's like, you know, your favorite TV show or whatever. It's like, if you've got that core audience, then you're going to be winning. If you're relying on everything being amazing on your channel and having the greatest products and cars and things all the time, then it's a bit of a vicious circle, you know. It's it'd be hard to maintain, continue.
And you, like you say, you can't always have the best cars on your channel and the best content, because that's life. Life gets in the way. Like you say, with the weather, you might not necessarily have the best days, so the filming quality might not be cinematic as such, but it's having that personality and having people subscribe to you and your opinions of the car and your just yourself almost.
100%. Yeah, no, for sure. I think everyone that I've followed for years on YouTube, I watch because I tune in to get my fix of them, and almost what they're reviewing or what they're talking about is like a secondary product of the channel, and I think that's key to making people sort of really love your stuff and being loyal over the years and continuing to watch you, because that's important as well. It's just keeping people there and not losing your audience. Like so many people, you know, that I look at online, you see their audience dwindle away because they change who they are, change their approach, and you can kind of see it happening and people just tune out. So just got to be true to yourself.
Definitely. So moving slightly on, over the years that you have been in the industry, have you seen a change, and in particular towards women as well?
So I've definitely seen a change. So I know a couple of, let's talk about YouTubers, for instance. I know a couple of female YouTubers who do very well at what they do. It's a very different world, though, I think, for females, in the sense that you've got two types of, it's very hard, from what I can tell, for a female to get an audience that's there to watch them and take them seriously, as opposed to be there just to look at them as a female object. And I think that's the difficult thing that a couple of the girls that I know have, is that their audience is 50-50. And I think a lot of people, even in this day and age, they're still, I guess the word is sexist in that sense, that they won't, they don't realize that in motorsport, in the car industry, there's so many knowledgeable and incredible females that usually know more than most of the males, and also can outdrive. I mean, the amount of good female drivers I know now that could absolutely kick my butt. But I think it's a bit of an old school. I mean, I don't know, because I'm a male and I do it obviously from a guy's point of view, so this is all secondary information. But it would be interesting to hear what you have to say about sort of getting a lot of people to not take you seriously, because that sounds undermining. But is it a difficult? Do you think it's more difficult for females, or I mean, there's things growing. There's women's series racing, that's on the up, if you like, and I think it's definitely going in the right direction. But it's hard for me to say, because the girls that I hang out with come on launches with me, and everything seems to be pretty fair and even and equal, I guess. That was a very roundabout answer. Probably didn't make any sense.
Not at all. But I'd definitely say, in some sense, you've almost got to gain people's respect more. If you come up to one, so for example, with the cars I own, drive and stuff, people often go, is it your boyfriend's car? Or you go to a track day, and if you go with a guy, they go to the guy automatically thinking they're the one driving, and you're often the only female driver. So it's bits like that. You have to gain their respect. And once you have gained their respect, though, it's completely mutual. There's just almost that little bit of, they want proof, I guess. But however, on other sides of things, so sponsorship and opportunities for businesses and people, there is such a feminist movement at the moment, and it's kind of the right time that there's 20,000 20 to 30-year-old guys that want to drive and do all these cars. There's maybe only a handful of women that want to do it. So it looks good for them to help a woman and help that side of things and look like they're contributing to this movement, but also they are still contributing in motorsport, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. I mean, it definitely looks good for the brand. And it's interesting what you say about the track day, because I can't remember the last time I saw a female on a track day. Like it's such a rare thing. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's just about the fact that we're not used to seeing like females at a track day. And I think if I saw one, I'd be like, oh wow, not because of anything, you know, it'd be like, oh my god, there's a girl here, great. Because it would be such a rarity. And I think it'd be great to see more, especially at track days and stuff, because that's obviously not the roots of motorsport, but that's
more accessible.
It's more accessible, yeah. And I'm seeing more and more female YouTubers pop up. And obviously when you go to, I don't go to many car meets and stuff, but the ones that I do go to, I see in the past, let's say 4 or 5 years, I see a lot more females at those meets and stuff. And so you can see there's some serious petrol heads out there. But yeah, I think it's taking that next step, and it probably is a bit daunting going to a track day as the only female, you know, but once you got past that step, then yeah, it's great. And as you say, it's a good time, I think, for sponsors and brands to get behind, yeah, to get behind female racing and sponsorship.
I like to say, when I was at Bedford on Monday, there was probably about 100 cars there driving, and I was the only female.
Yes.
But I can always come around and say I was the fastest girl on the day.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's very true. Yeah, you do realise if you get more females along, then you got less chance of that happening. So yeah, you got to be, you got to think about this one. But yeah.
I always want that makes people laugh when I speak to them, and they're like, "Oh, you're a girl at the track day." I'm like, "Yep, but I'm the fastest one here." They look at you, gone out for a second, and then it clicks, and then they're like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah. Brilliant.
So you've done a lot of different collaborations with fellow YouTubers and brands such as Carwow. I know I watched your drag race video with the M2 on there not that long ago. What's it been like with these opportunities with different brands and different collaborations?
Yeah, it's been a lot of it, most of it's been very organic in the sense that, so Matt Watson from Carwow, like I've known Matt for years, and I've been on quite a few shoots with him, launches with him in 2018 and 2019. Went on loads with him, went on some really, really fun trips actually with Matt, and we get on really well. And I think so that was really like, I think he asked me one day, he rang me, he said, "Oh, are you free tomorrow? Do you want to come down and help me?" So that all kind of fell into place very naturally and was great. And it was really good for me. The initial video, I can't remember if it was that one or one before, but that was a real nice boost for my channel. Like I saw the subs grow massively overnight on that video. It was quite crazy actually. And then I did a few more, and each time after that, obviously the growth is a lot smaller and the kickback, but there's a great benefit to it if you can find the right people. In terms of, I mean, again, the only other people I've done videos with really probably, I mean, Tim I've helped out a few times and not done much with him, but Petrol Ped and Steph ABTV, again, they're both good friends of mine that I've sort of got close to over the years, and I guess it just feels organically good to do it. I think the main thing again with me and collaborations is just doing it with someone that you actually like and you enjoy being around, and it's almost like a day out. It's like, I'm going to go out with you tomorrow, we're going to go to a track day, we're going to test out these 2 cars, and it sounds like, yeah, and have fun, exactly. Rather than, you know, a lot of people sort of put a lot of pressure on collaborations or try to do it just to make each other's audience grow or whatever. And yes, that should happen, but that's just the icing on the cake if it does, you know. So yeah, I think all of my collaborations have been just down to sort of hanging out with people on launches and stuff. Have you been on any car launches or?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, you've got a lot of time because you're only young. But yeah, I mean, they're really good for networking and meeting other people, as well as obviously the car launch itself. But you do meet some cool people, and the bigger the launches, or the nicer the brand or whatever you get, you're sitting there and you're like, oh my god! I remember even when it was Matt, when I saw Matt the first time, and yeah, so many like old school like Steve Sutcliffe and old school journalists, and I'm sitting there like, oh my god, it's
Fanboying.
like properly, and it's like, I'm a 40-year-old man, and I'm fanboying in the corner. It's so funny, but then you meet them and you're like, oh my god, they're just like normal people.
Yeah.
You know, like they're not superhumans, and they're just a normal person. But it's quite a nice reality check. And then when you meet the majority of them and they're lovely, it's very nice to, yeah, it's nice. It's like never meet your heroes, and a lot of the time they're not the nicest people, but most of the journos and stuff that I've met. So yeah, that's I guess that kind of answers that question ish.
It is about, I think, just having fun. A lot of people that do YouTube and stuff, they put so much pressure on, right, I've got to get this content and this amount of subs, this amount of views, this, that, the other. And I think at the end of the day, if you've gone and made that video, you've had fun doing it, and like I say, it's been a bit of a day out, then it is a success in its own right. Whether it gets 100 views or 100,000 views, you've had fun doing it, and it's not been a chore. And I think when it starts becoming a chore, that's when you can tell on camera as well. If someone doesn't want to be there, it shows easily.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, no, and again, going back to your audience, if you built your audience, no matter how big or small, if they then see you doing a collab video and you're not being you, they will pick up. Like I've done, I can't remember what it was, but I wasn't. It was some kind of advertising thing I did years ago. It was one of the first sponsored thing I did on my channel, and I didn't feel particularly comfortable doing it. And the comments, people could just tell straight away, you know, they're like, oh, what's like, you didn't look very comfortable doing that, or you didn't, and it's like, oh, was it written all over my face?
Your face can't hide things, can it? That's the thing. You think you're being all chirpy, normal, but it's so obvious when it's fake and when it's natural.
100%. Yeah.
Brilliant. So being a fellow M2 owner, I have to ask, how has that project been? And just tell me about it, really, because I'm fascinated to know about it.
Yeah, well, so I'm a BMW passionate, and I don't know like if you're aware, but I actually got the original M2 like yours back in, I got one of the first ever cars actually in the UK, April 16th, 2016. I picked it up, and that was the launch day, and it was a black M2 DCT, and absolutely loved it. I couldn't afford it at the time because I had an M135i. I was going through a breakup with my ex, and it was like a panic buy because I was offered it. I ended up buying it and having it for about 10, 11 months. And that's what really did kickstart, that really helped the channel grow actually back in the day. So I love that car. Didn't do too many things with it, road trip, few bits, but no mods or whatever. And then fast forward 2 or 3 years when the comp came out, and I got my manual comp, and I mean, I've done quite a few things to it, but not gone crazy. This year I meant to go crazy with it, and I just haven't. I kind of I ran out of, I can't say I ran out of time because we weren't doing anything at the beginning of the year, but I didn't know which direction to go in terms of which suspension to go with. There were so many different ways I was looking at doing the car. I didn't want to turn it into too much of a track weapon and ruin it as a road car. And so, long story short, this year I've basically done nothing with it in terms of money. I think I've shot maybe 2 or 3 videos talking about what I'm going to do, and I'm not that sort of YouTuber, but I just haven't got around to it. And now values have gone crazy, and it's just been sitting in storage. Yeah, in fact, I drove it today to pick up. So I've just picked up a new M3 X drive from BMW. It's not mine. It's a press car. But I didn't want to take my M3 to BMW because I want to do a twin shoot on Friday.
Yeah.
So I got my M2 out of storage to drive that to BMW because I hadn't run it for a while. So the poor thing, I took it out of storage to drive it on the motorway for like 3 numb hours. But yeah, long story short, that project is ongoing. But I love the car. Yeah, exactly. But it's just, I mean, it's just a brilliant little car. They are just fantastic little cars. And arguably, because yours is an OG, right? Yours is 2018, is it?
2018, yeah, DC2.
Yeah, so the LCI one. So they're the best. I mean, I think out of the box, they are they're the best. The comps are brilliant, but they
need a bit of tweaking. That's what I've
they
heard.
need a bit of tweaking, yeah. And they're not out of the box. They're very quiet. They're not perfect. Whereas the OGs, they're just. I remember the first time I started my 2016 one at the dealership, and I drove, and I was just like, "Oh my god, this is like the best thing ever." it's just such a naughty thing, and it's just so angry all the time.
Yeah.
It's like you know, it's just
fantastic.
yeah, it's brilliant. So yeah, well, you have to try mine sometime to see what yours is. A DCT.
Yep, DCT.
Yeah, okay.
I was too impatient to wait for a good manual to come along, so I was very lucky. Obviously, I had the Lotus before. I moved back to my parents, and I had to use my car more, and the Lotus was not practical whatsoever. I couldn't drive it at night. I couldn't park it anywhere. I couldn't get it over any speed bumps. It was just a bit of a
nightmare.
Yeah, I love it to pieces. I will always have another one. Lotus have got a very special place in my heart because it's where all the track stuff started for me. But I was down and I was like, what do I want? And I was looking at an M140 because I couldn't quite reach the M2 prices. And then circumstances changed and I was like, bugger it. There was someone I know that's actually a friend of mine, but they also own a prestige car garage in the same town. They had two in. Almost the same price, both OGs, just one was 2017, one was 2018, different mileage. I went and looked, started it up, revved it. I was like, yep, I'm having this. I'll pick it up tomorrow. So it happened quite quickly, but I was too impatient to wait for the manual. And I do love the DCT box. I love the aggression of the change in it. I think it's fantastic. So for something that's a daily for me, it's quite easy to do, really. But I do miss a manual. I do miss a good manual.
Yeah, but I think the DCT, I mean, I've always been a manual fan, but I love the DCT. I loved it when it was out. And now when you try the newer cars, like my M3 that's got the ZF 8-speed auto, it's just so like, it's an amazing gearbox. It changes, you know, as an auto, it's brilliant, but it's not aggressive and it's not exciting. And the gear change is just like, it's just like, whereas the DCT, there's a real manual aspect to it, isn't it? When it changes gear and
it's like a kickback, isn't it? And it's fantastic. When you really foot flat to the floor, you change it at max revs and it's like this, and you're like, oh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
It was absolutely fantastic. I know the first DCT I drove was a E93 M3.
Yes.
And that was the very first proper BMW I drove, to be fair. That was an M car, and I felt it was quite heavy and felt a little bit tetchy because I drove it in torrential rain. And then I got the M2 and I thought, oh God, it's going to be a little bit tetchy. It's fine, like I can handle it. I'll just take it steady. Got it on a test track. So we had no one around us. And I was like, right, now let's try and get it to go. Because if it spins, it spins. I'm not going to hit anything. And I was trying to get it to go. And I was like, for God's sake, you have to be really aggressive. I was so shocked with how composed it was. And I was just like, I thought all you do is put power down and it would go. And because it was bone dry, it just stuck to the road. And I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
It was fantastic. Yeah, absolutely love it. I'd love to track one day, but not quite mine because I can't afford a new one if it goes wrong.
Yeah. Well, you should try and take it to a quiet Bedford one day, or try and get yourself a track day insurer sponsor. Because it's great. Yeah, you would love. Yeah, I think they're great. It's funny, like you'll find, especially compared to the Lotus, you'll think it'll feel heavy initially. Like on the road, it feels great, the M2. The minute you take it out on track, it does feel quite heavy, which it's not light, you know, it's 1,600 kilos or whatever. But after you've done 2 or 3 laps and you've got used to sort of the momentum and the weight of it, it then just becomes brilliant fun. Like it really is. It would be very different to the Lotus, which is, I'm sure, fantastic.
Polar opposite.
Polar, exactly. Super lightweight and brilliant fun, but not the best road car in the world. So.
No, I learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
But I always say my dream 3 car garage, because I don't think I could choose between them, would be an M2, a Lotus Elise Cup 250, and a Porsche GT3 in manual in Miami blue.
Oh yes.
That's so I've got like my show fun car, I've got my daily as the M2, and then I've got my track car as the Lotus. Jobs are good.
Yes, that'd be very good. I love it. I love how none of them are actually that practical. But the M2 is verging on practical. But
it's got 2 back seats.
exactly, and a decent boot. So yeah,
Really good boot size on it. I was quite surprised.
yeah. Well, they're actually more. I don't know if you've driven the new 4 Series or the new M4 yet.
No, I've only driven the generation before M4.
Okay, so like the F82. Yeah, so the F82 was actually quite practical, similar to our M2s, I guess.
Yeah.
But the new gen is so bad in the back, like because the sloping roofline. If you look at it, it comes down. It looks, so they've done it for form over function. Really, it looks good, but when you're in the, I mean, the back seats are just, they're almost like 911 in the sense that you just can't, you know, unless there's 4 really small adults in there, you're not going to use the rear seats for anything more than sort of luggage.
This, aren't you? Kind of.
Yeah, literally, yeah. So it's like, I mean, that's why I have the M3 more than I mean, I love the whole 4-door. As much as I love the M2 and the way it looks, I've always loved the 4-door M car because I just think they don't fly under the radar. You know, they do look, you know, special, I guess. But I just love, I love the rear doors and I love the rear arches. And I think the M3 always looks a bit more aggressive than the M4.
Yeah, the M4 can kind of almost look a bit more like a normal 4 Series than say an M3 looks like a normal 3 Series. I think it does stand out that little more because it has that wider backside on it, really.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's one thing I love with the M2 being a little bit more boring is the Lotus. Everybody stared at you because they either didn't know what it was. It was a little kid pulling at their mom's arm going, look at that. Or people were just like gobsmacked at you all the time. And you used to have it where they were shocked at the car, then they were shocked it was a young girl driving. That was the funny.
Yes.
So you see their face sort of drop originally, then even like secondary go every time. And then when we M2, unless people know their cars, it stays a little bit more less everybody staring at you and you're scared you're gonna stall it.
Yeah. Well, I'm the same, like, whenever I see like a female in an M2 or something that's quite close to my heart, I'll always be the same. I'll be like, oh, M2 now. Oh my God, there's a chick driving. Yes. It's just like, it's like a double sort of combo. It's like, isn't it?
It's so funny. Petrol stations are the worst as well because everyone stares at the car. You walk over to it, they're staring at you, walk across like, surely not. Oh, okay.
Oh, brilliant.
It's great fun. I kind of just, you're always a little bit smug, you're like, because people aren't expecting it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Anyway, I can digress about M2s all day, but looking over in the past, really, what is your favourite memory out of all of your journey?
Ooh.
This is a tough one.
I don't really know. I'm glad that's not like a one. What was it? Your fire. Well, I don't. So in terms of my journey, you mean like my YouTube journey?
Let's go with YouTube. We'll try and help you narrow it down.
Yeah. Okay. I think there's so many, but I mean, there's small things that stand out. Like I was saying earlier on, when you end up in a sort of a small press group or drive with people that you've looked up to for years, and you're like, oh my God, I'm like one of 8 people or one of 10 people in here, and these are all my heroes, and I was watching them all yesterday or whatever. But I guess in terms of something really fun, I mean, 2019 was very good before COVID arrived. There was lots of very cool trips, and I think my most exciting. What was the question?
Your favourite memory.
My favourite memory. Okay. Wow. Sorry, I keep looking off into the distance like it's going to help me. Yeah, I look at the blinds in my windows. Give me some ideas. I think my favourite memory was probably actually it was ironic as well because it's not the most exciting motorsport in the world, but I went to a Formula E race in 2019 in New York with Audi, and there was me, Matt Watson, Rory Reid, and a couple of others. Emma Walsh was there as well, and we had such a good. The racing itself was okay, but you know, we couldn't see much of the course, and it wasn't that exciting, the racing aspect of it. But the trip was off the hook. We were drunk on the plane on the way out there. we were drunk the whole time we were in New York. Well, we were, but the stand up. What's that?
Vast majority of it drunk.
Yeah, the vast majority of it. Although, and what made that trip so special, and I actually, when I saw Emma a couple of weeks ago, I told her this, was on one of the nights. We're only there for 3 nights. I think on the first night or something, she said, do you want to join me for a jog, like in the morning before we head off to watch the racing? And I was like, oh, you're kidding me. And then I sat there for a while. I thought, wait a second, like, where are you going? She said, oh, over the Brooklyn Bridge, and I'm going to run through Manhattan and maybe go and look at Ground Zero. And I've been to New York a couple of times before as a tourist, but, you know, never sort of on foot, usually taxis and whatever. So I thought about it. We're staying in Brooklyn. And so I thought, anyway, I ended up getting up at like 6 a.m. whatever, and going for this jog with her. There was me, her, and this other guy called Nick. We were jogging across Brooklyn Bridge, and it was just like, it was the most amazing experience. And running through, like, it was like a Sunday morning or something. So there's nothing in Manhattan, like no people, no taxis, no cars, and the sun was coming up, and it was just like, oh my God, this is just, it's completely uncorrelated, but it was on a car trip.
Yeah,
and I think
it counts.
It's one of those things that will always stay with me. And I'm not even a runner, and I think my knees and legs suffered for months afterwards. Because little Emma, she's like about 30 kilos, and Nick was really fit, and I'm like, ugh. But it was just the experience of it. That was probably one of my most memorable trips, and that particular thing was, yeah. That's very random. You weren't expecting that, were you?
That sounds amazing. I think the length of Brooklyn Bridge is like incredible, isn't it? So I think I'd be like, yeah, I'm done.
Literally, yeah. I remember the other side. I was absolutely screwed coming off the other side, but yeah. You probably wanted something more exciting, like RS6 launch in snow going sideways, but no, running over the Brooklyn Bridge. Yes.
That's what we like, though. We like the something different rather than use typical, oh, it's this. It's the ones that mean the most to you and that do stand out to you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's it.
So going away from the past into the future, what are your aspirations now?
Well, I guess it's weird because I've only really been doing YouTube full time for about a year now. So my business, I had a small chauffeuring business that went down the drain thanks to COVID, and I ended up closing that sort of at the beginning of this year. But I could close that and forget about it because the YouTube channel is supporting itself now and earning me a living. So it's kind of like a blessing in disguise in that sense. You know, that was suffering, that business. I could put it behind me and move on with something that I really love. Yeah. And I think I'm so grateful, you know, for what I do now. And I still can't believe when people ask me, when people ask me what I do for a living, if they don't watch my channel or know what I do, and they ask me, it's really weird to say I don't like saying I'm a YouTuber or I'm an influencer, because I just don't like any of those, because people stereotype me straight away. But so just the fact that I do what I love is amazing, and I think as much as I'd love to say, oh, in 3 years' time I want my channel to be 10 times larger and I want to be earning 10 times as much money, I think if I can carry on going how I am at the moment, I'd be very happy. Naturally, the channel is going to grow, and I just hope that I can get to do more stuff with more, you know, or more subjects that I love, like track related stuff, as you know, is so expensive. And yeah, I hope that I don't lose interest entirely in the car industry as it goes towards EVs, because I'm not massively excited about that. I'm quite outspoken about it, and I'm not. A lot of people are selling themselves and just going with it and saying it's the best thing in the world. Personally, I don't think it is, and they don't excite me, EVs. But so that's my one fear in my head. What's that?
There's no noise.
there's no noise, and they just don't have any emotion. They don't have any soul. You know, they're impressive things, but so yeah. So I think the future, if I could, as long as I can guide my way through what the next 10 years are going to bring, whether I end up going back in time to review a lot more older cars, but yeah, I think just doing what I'm doing is really cool, and I'm very grateful that I'm doing it, because I think me 10 years ago, if I saw what I'm doing now and that I've managed to carve this into a living, I wouldn't believe it. I'd be like, no way, no way, you know,
Lion, you're lying.
yeah, that's no. That old guy with the grey hair, he might look a bit like you, but that's definitely not you. So, so yeah, I think that's it really, is just focus, just be content with what I've got and what I've managed to achieve, and just carry on putting effort, time, and sort of love behind it, because that's kind of what keeps it going. So, and hope that YouTube doesn't just shut down overnight, because there's always that fear. It's like, shit, what if they just turned it off?
Yeah, just a little off switch, the red button.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, okay.
It's like when Instagram and Facebook and that just went down for like 16 hours, everyone was like, oh my God, what do I do?
Yes, yeah. And then we all realized that actually after 2 hours of panic, it was actually quite not. I slept better than I'd ever slept that night. Like and I woke up in the morning, I was like, oh, and I went for my phone. I was like, no, it's probably not working. Don't. You know what I mean? It was like, it was such a, I mean, you've had social media most of your entire life, but I guess I'm at that generation that, well, when I was, how old are you? 22, 20. Yeah, so when I was 22, I mean, I might have just had a mobile phone, or 22. Yeah, I would have just had one, but it was like, I mean, it was like, well, it wasn't even like that, because it didn't have a screen that big, and it was like, I mean, it was hilarious, but you couldn't do anything on it apart from make, you know, really sort of bad phone calls on it, and so. Yeah, so back then that was way before all of this, which was a very different world. So yeah, it was quite nice when all that social media, because I'm terrible with my phone. I'm on it way too long, and
Yeah,
I need to limit myself, because it's not healthy.
it's so difficult as well. I don't know for yourself, but even just for Instagram, for me, I've only got 3,000 followers, and I've got 20, if I don't go on my phone for a couple hours, there's 20, 30 odd messages, and you're like, oh my God, trying to catch up on them. People are replying straight away. You're like, trying to keep on top of it. And then you feel rude if you don't reply. You think, oh my God, trying to keep on top of just simple stuff like that is just, people don't realize it.
People don't realize it, and going back to what we were talking about earlier on, that's how you have to grow, and that's how you have to get your main base of followers, keep them entertained, keep them on your side. You've got to, and it gets insane sometimes. If I put my phone down for like a day or 4 or 5 hours and pick it up, there'll be 100 DMs in there, and like you said, you reply, and the minute you reply, and this is no offense to anyone that's watching, because I love that, you know, it's down to people that watch us, you know, the what we do, but the minute you reply, sometimes that person, like you said, they'll see you replied, then they'll write, and you're like, oh my God, they've asked me another question, and then and it's like, if I had all the time in the world, I'd love to have a discussion with you, but I've got 100 other ones to answer. And it's very difficult to sort of find that balance of not ruining your own life. Like if you're downstairs, if I'm sitting downstairs with my other half, and I'm replying to randoms at 9:30 at night while we're watching a movie, it's like, I shouldn't be doing that. Like I should be having my own time. Do you know what I mean? But then it's like, where do you fit that in? And
it's where the line is.
There is, but it's very hard to fit everything in to a single day or whatever. So
I found voice notes were like revolutionary for me, because I could be doing literally anything, cooking, cleaning, just voice note away, job's done, nice and easy.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the voice note. I definitely like that. Yeah, it's a lot easier, and as you say, you can do it anywhere. So yeah, it's good.
The only trouble is when you voice note your mates and you're in the public and you play it thinking it's something quite safe, and it's not. You think, quiet.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
Oh god, in the middle of the gym or something, you know, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Apart from that, they're great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So obviously COVID took a massive hit to everyone, but how did it actually affect things with your channel? Because obviously getting hold of cars, dealerships were closed. How did it actually affect you?
So yeah, COVID, well, when that hit sort of last March, well, it was weird at first because I mean, it just hit us so hard. In fact, the week before we went into lockdown, I went on a trip with Steph, ABTV. We went down to Monaco. We borrowed an RS7 and were originally going to go to the Geneva Motor Show. So we had our hotel booked, all this stuff booked, and then it all cancelled overnight. And but we still had our Euros. We had everything booked. So we're like, well, there was no restrictions obviously back then.
Yeah.
So we're like, oh, let's just go anywhere. Let's just go for a road trip. So we went down there to the Alps. We did some filming, and then we went to Monaco. We had a great time. And we came back, and as we came back, you could feel it. Like every hotel we were staying in, or B&B or whatever, you could just feel this thing erupting, and like everyone looked a bit nervous, and then we get back to the UK, and then suddenly it was like, I think that was the Friday, and then on the Monday we went into lockdown or whatever it was, and so it all kind of happened very quickly. Now my business at the time was going okay, but wasn't particularly brilliant. And that was like a nail in the coffin for that. But the YouTube channel, the views, I found that, okay, so the first couple of weeks, nothing really seemed to change. But as we went into a deeper lockdown and people had nothing to do, and, we were all searching Netflix and whatever we could, suddenly, everyone had watched everything, even the shit stuff. And then I think people were turning to YouTube, and as a result, views and watch time and everything started to really explode. And I think that the timing for me was perfect, because that was around the time that the first car wow video went live was literally around that time as well. So a combination of ingredients, let's say, just really ignited the channel for me back in March, April last year. And so for me, again, I'm one of those, I guess you'd say, lucky ones, in the sense that, so many people went and are still going through hell with COVID, and not outside of the health aspect of it, just the business aspect, the money, financial. But I was just very lucky. I wasn't lucky because I built my platform to that point, but I was lucky in the sense that, if I didn't have my YouTube channel, I don't know what I'd be doing now. I wouldn't be in a good place, and I would be, I wouldn't have any money. My business would still be struggling massively. So I'm very grateful that I had that, and I think most YouTubers or online people kind of benefited a bit from it all, and from the lockdowns. So without sounding smug, it was like it wasn't bad financially for me, and I was just grateful that I built this platform that worked when everyone was stuck at home with nothing to do and shit British weather. Oh no, we had very good weather actually, didn't we?
I know, it was one of the nicest summers.
Yeah, it really was. It was amazing weather. I don't know what happened this year, but we got it all last year, I think.
It's typical though, isn't it? The time we're all locked in. Here you go, have the most gorgeous sunshine. You can't do anything other than go in the garden, but here you go.
Yeah.
We can go and see friends, go out and do things. Nope, rain.
Yes, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That's amazing. So like I say, so many people did struggle with COVID, but so many people also saw the positive to it and used the time at home, the time away from the work environment as such, to benefit from it.
Yeah, to benefit from it. And the other part of your question was, how did you, because it was in terms of getting your hands on stuff, obviously everything, that first lockdown, everything shut up, like all the press departments closed, dealerships closed, everything closed. So it was like, and also in the first lockdown, I mean, we have like a internal sort of WhatsApp group amongst a lot of the YouTubers that I know, and we all decided not to do any filming on, although we could have done, I think legally we could have filmed, because that was our
work.
Exactly. But the first lockdown, everyone was extra scared, and so we're all like, look, let's not go out and set a bad example and go out and let's do our filming. So we all kind of found our own ways of doing like films at home, whether it was a walk around video of static cars of ours or whatever. But I was actually quite lucky in that, because I just picked up, so yeah, I got back on that Friday, swapped the RS7 for RS4, which was the B9, the facelifted one, on that Friday, and then I took it away, and then on the Monday they contacted me, said, "Oh, we're closing up. We can either take the car off you, or you can just keep it." And so I was like, "Oh, I'll keep it."
I'll keep
so,
it.
No, I ended up having that RS4, I think, for about 2.5 months or something. Which sounds great, but obviously we couldn't really do anything with it. So it was more of a prop. It was like
a toy car.
It literally was. I used its boot, like I sat in its boot and filmed a video. It was something else, it's something else to talk about that I wouldn't have otherwise had. So
you one weekly shopping it, that was it.
Exactly, I did, and I even filmed a video on that. Yeah, it's like taking it to a weekly shop. I might have gone slightly longer than I'd normally. Yeah. yeah. The direct route was closed. For whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Whatever way we can get around it. I know as lockdowns went on, things did ease a little bit. So dealerships did open, contactless delivery, stuff like that. I think when I picked my Lotus up, it was the January lockdown.
Yep.
So I may or may not have driven 4 hours down to Surrey to go pick my Lotus up in the middle of a global lockdown, because the delivery charge was £400 and I refused to pay it when it was £20 worth of fuel.
Exactly. Yeah. Brilliant.
It was an essential purchase. It was my only car, so it was essential.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I think after that first lockdown, people were just like, I mean, I don't know about where you are, but here, every lockdown since, well, the second one was a bit sparser outside, but then the third and as it continued, like leading up to Christmas last year, you'd go out and you'd be like, what? Like there's more cars out and people out than there was before COVID existed. There's no lockdown happening. So yeah.
I know that first lockdown, the roads were scary. It was that quiet. It was actually quite haunting. And then like you say, a year later, it's still in the middle of a lockdown, but it's busier than it is normally.
Yeah.
Made no sense.
No.
Okay, so obviously you've done a bit of track driving and motorsport driving here and there, and you've been obviously passenger with some amazing drivers as well. So going on to motorsport aspect, what 3 key skills do you reckon it takes to make a good driver, particularly on track?
Okay, so I think people are born with some people are born with natural talent. Spatial awareness is a big one that people, I think, underestimate on track. Being aware of not necessarily what's going on in your car and what's going on in your like close surroundings, but what is going on, what's happening over there, what's coming in behind you, your mirrors, everything. Being able to deal with all that, in a second nature way, in the sense that you don't even, that's a very important thing. I think spatial awareness for track driving. I think when I was younger, I used to always think it was, well, I can't say the size of my balls, because that's not that's only relevant for guys. But then I think as you get more confident, you learn to drive faster, and you visit more tracks and do more track driving. I think the other thing is just, well, there you go. Is practice. Is just relentless. Yeah, exactly. Seat time. That's it. Because I'm not. I like to go for the odd spirited drive on the road, but it's not a place, especially in this day and age. There's so much traffic out there, so many people, horses. You can't go for a proper drive on the road anymore, because there's just too many people out there. Maybe if you're up in the middle, like Scotland, North Coast 500, if you can see forever, then I don't see the issue with going fast up there. But where in most places it's just impossible. So I think when you go on a track for the first time, or even the first time after a while, it's just getting your head around like going flat out and going fast and using your brakes properly, which you never use on the road. That's the first thing, isn't it? It's like, especially if you've got someone in as a passenger, you've got to kind of warn them that I'm going to use my brakes. You're used to acceleration unless it's a really fast car. You're kind of used to the limits on the corner, but it's the braking stuff that usually people are like, what? What? Are we going to crash? It's like, no, that's just how you use your brakes on track. So I think, yeah, it's practice, it's spatial awareness, and I think natural talent as well is a big thing. I think some people have got it and some people just haven't. Some people just can't. They're either maybe not interested in it, or they're just wired a different way, and they're not interested in, like my brother and my dad couldn't be less interested in going faster. Drive, they use their cars to go from A to B and that's it. They're not interested. They don't get any excitement out of a car. My dad hates driving because he lives in London. It just means sitting in a traffic jam, whereas I'll still have a smile on my face if I'm in a traffic jam, because I'm in front of a steering wheel, and it's just so I think it's those three things, I guess.
Like I say, firstly with like natural talent, I think also ability to work hard. I think you can have someone with natural talent in any sport. This is whether it's football, basketball. You have someone with natural talent, someone that might not have as much natural talent but will work hard at it, and 9 times out of 10 they will outshine those. So I think natural talent with work ethic is unbeatable.
100%. Yeah, very good. I should have just bounced the question.
Oh, don't put me on the spot. That's when I'll get all flustered.
Yeah, that's the problem with this podcast. Every question is before it started, I was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. I don't need to think about anything because you're going to ask me. But then actually, the reality is, I have to think about everything, and you just sit there and read the questions. It's like,
exactly. I've got the easy job.
Yeah.
I remember I did an interview. It's with she is a Mercedes F1 engine test technician. And
oh wow, okay.
On the podcast, we became really good friends. I've gone and stayed at her. We've got on so well, like house on fire. But I remember we were doing one of the questions, and I can't remember which one it was. But she turned around and went, "What about you then?" And I was like, "What?" It's like, "What's going on? I don't know."
That's not how this works.
Like, this is wrong. It's the other way around.
Yeah.
I think if you watch it back, I just go, "Wait, what?" Like my face just kind of drops because I'm like, "Wait, do you mean me? Like, are you on about me?"
Oh,
great. But we're at number 20, the last last question. So,
oh god, I'm nervous.
All those out there, whether that's YouTubers, motorsport, wanting to make it in that automotive world, what is your best advice?
Okay, so best advice is something that you hear probably from a very young age by teachers and your parents when you're at school. Is honestly, and you just touched upon it then with talking about the driving, a good advice to become a good track driver, is effort. And that's it. It's effort. I wasn't very academic. I wasn't great at school. I didn't enjoy it. I did enjoy my mountain biking when I got out of school, and I became pretty good at mountain biking because I put a lot of effort and time into it. And now with my YouTube channel, I think I've never put so much time and effort into making videos and filming videos and organizing cars, and just never stops. Instagram messages, and like so many little things that when if you add them all up, it's mind-boggling how much time and effort, say, I've put in the past 7 or 8 years. But it all becomes worth it, and you look back on it and you're just like, the only way this has worked, the main reason this has worked is because I put so much effort in. And I think anyone that's watching or listening to this, like, you're not always going to be able to follow your dreams like that. Reality, you're not going to, if you want to become an astronaut, I can't guarantee that you're going to be an astronaut, but I can guarantee that if you chase something that you really believe in, you're passionate about, and you love, and you put enough time and effort in, the chances of you doing that and not doing it are massively increased. And there's no denying or getting away from that. And I used to always shrug my shoulders and think, oh yeah, effort. and I think I was quite a lazy student or kid. And yes, I've done many amazing things in my life that aren't car related, but I never managed to find a way into the passion that I do today, and that's only because of the effort I put in. So yeah, effort, honestly, effort, time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears, and you will get there, and end up doing what you love. Yeah. So, and yeah, if you start from a young age, more like like you, and you get 20-year head start, then it's great. You know, it's only going to go one way. So yeah,
Fingers crossed.
fingers crossed. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. I feel like we need to do another one where I ask you questions, because you know everything about me now. Literally, I'm just like, yeah, I don't know.
Reversal now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'll send you the list and we can just repeat, but the opposite way around.
Oh, I might have to change them a bit, because otherwise, it's only
surprise.
Yeah. Couple of curveballs in there. Yeah.
You say the 10 quick fire questions, because obviously that's the ones I keep the same, just to see different people's answers. Then ones I have down to a T, what I'd say instantly.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay.
Because in my head I'm like, oh, what would I pick? Okay, yep, I know what I do. So I think my mom's asked me before, and I'm like, yep, I know.
What's your favourite car then on that outlets?
Porsche GT3 991 manual in Miami blue.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, that's more or less. I think I'd go the 992, because but I'd be very happy with the 991. So yeah, Well, there you go. See, I think that is honestly, that's a true sign of a petrol head. Anyone that loves, I think, the GT3 is just the halo. It's the
RS is incredible in its own right, but I think the GT3 has more character, with it being manual and just more. I think if you, from my perspective, you take it to a track, you can use a lot more of it, but it's not as I'm trying to kill you. It's more let's have fun kind of thing. Exactly,
and you can use it on the road, whereas the GT, I think people that use it RSs on the road are kidding themselves a bit. It's more of a showpiece, as opposed to, because I've driven a couple of RSs on the road and they are so stiff. And they're not much fun. They look great, but you're right. The GT3 is just that's the dream. Yeah.
I mean, my love of cars started with my dad, who had a G series Porsche 911.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so G50 gearbox, first of its kind.
The five speed one.
Yes.
Was it? Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
So there's a photo of me. I'm only about 4 years old, and I remember, because we used to go in it all the time. It had the proper like ducktail spoiler. It was beautiful, and it was one of I've got to try and get this right now. Someone to do with F1's mechanics Porsche. I can't remember which driver it was. I think David Coulthard, that's it. His mechanics Porsche owner. So we dealt with his PA. And then when we actually picked it up, we got a signed poster and everything from him, because the guy had literally just been like aboard with the F1 team. He came back to sell the Porsche and meet my dad, and got him a signed poster of David Coulthard. So we've got that as well. So it had like a bit of a story to it. And like I say, there's a photo of me 4 years old sat in the driver's seat, and I just think that was the moment I knew it was going to be. And like I said, pardon?
Yeah, so that was your moment.
My
moment. BMW.
It was fun.
That's amazing.
But like I say, my dad was exactly the same. He used to sit on his lap and steer the car as he parked up. And like I say, you either have it or you don't. So I would steer it at, I think I was maybe about 6. My sister was 16. Oh, I'm sorry, the screen just disappeared. My sister was 16 when she had to go driving their van, and she crashed it straight into the wall. So like I say, you either have it or you don't. And my sister definitely doesn't.
Yeah. Well, that sounds exactly like my brother. My brother's about that adequate in a car. So
I think it happens in every family, but one sibling that is and one that isn't. But my parents both love it. My dad is a fantastic road driver, but he's never done track properly. So he's going to have a go, but I don't know whether he'll listen to me or not. This is the trouble.
Yes.
He's there like, I've got 40 odd years driving experience. I was like, yeah, but you've got none on a track, Dad. It's different. I promise. Yeah. So we'll see how that one goes.
Brilliant. Oh, well, you got to get that on camera if you do it.
Yes, 100%. Bless him. But that's the end of the 20 questions.
Cool. Oh well, I mean, it's
Right.
been awesome talking to you, and thanks a lot for having me on. And as I say, yeah, well, next Cadwell Park's on my list of tracks to do, especially after you've sold it to me. But yeah, and it'd be really nice to meet you at some point as well. So, but yeah, and thanks then, and good luck with everything through the next few months through winter. And I look forward to seeing where your sort of journey takes you.
Brilliant. Thank you ever so much for being my guest.
Yeah, no problem.
So you guys know the drill. We're back here every Monday at 6 p.m. with a new guest. So for now, to make my journey your journey, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.